Hey everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar. That is Don Copeland. He's going to talk for the entire time. I'm going to apologize in advance to everyone.
Yep.
I've just got a couple of housekeeping things that I want to go through for a few minutes before we get started. You've got there's a question button in your software, probably in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, and you can ask questions at any time. We will try to get to them throughout the presentation, but tonight's webinar is going to be a little bit different. Don's going to be busy actually doing stuff instead of just saying stuff, and that presents a little bit of a challenge in answering questions in real time. But we will try. So ask your questions. The other thing is if we switch back and forth from the computer screen to the video like you're seeing now, you'll occasionally lose the signal. Just click away and click back again, and that will likely help. If that does not help, then we can't help you, okay? If you lose audio or if you lose video, the only thing that you can do is click out and click back in again. There's one thing that I want to point out to everybody before we get started, and that is our Custom Apparel Startups Facebook group. I recognize a lot of names from the attendees here tonight are already members, but if you're not, I highly recommend it. You guys that are online now that are part of the group, feel free to chime in so I can brag about it to everybody else. But there's some great stuff here. I mean, you'll see, our customers are posting their latest work. That's Mike Sones and one of his first great bling designs with the Pro Spangle. We've got some DTG stuff on here. We've got people talking about doing koozies. They have business questions. We put our blog posts up here in our podcasts. We do our webinar schedule up here. So there is a lot to learn at the Custom Apparel Startups Facebook group. So I'm just going to copy and paste that into the chat section. If you are not a member, please go ahead and join. And if you are, why don't you log in and just say hello so everybody will know that you're here.
My heart monitor.
I'm trying to copy and paste. Hang on. I will get there.
Good thing you're not doing the demo.
I'm in marketing.
Copy and paste.
I'm in marketing.
Two things, right?
I'm in marketing. Okay, so we are switching back to video once again. This is Don Copeland. I'm sorry, and there we go.
Hey, Eric. Juan.
Juan.
You guys are hearing this all right? Correct?
All right, I'm going to move the questions down here, and you are ready to go.
Wow, that was the shortest.
It really is. I
That
tried.
is the shortest.
I tried. I know
the
you
only
wanted
time
me
that
to.
Mark has done a shorter intro was the time he wasn't here.
Yeah.
All right, so number one, bear with me tonight. Be patient. We had really a lot of plans to do this on a live basis, one full time at a time. But the good news is that we were so busy this last month. We have just been overwhelmed with training here at the office. We actually had to take over our showroom today to do an extra large Avante training class because of all the machines that we sold.
Yes.
So if I screw up, I'm just going to try as best as possible to cover it up. But no, seriously, what we're going to do is in live time, real time, we're going to try to reproduce a run of about 12 shirts. We thought to make it a little bit of fun. We mix in 3 different colors of shirts, dark shirt, a medium grade shirt, and a white shirt. And, we're assuming that our customer who we've done these shirts for before liked them in the tan. They needed a few more of the tan, but they wanted to get some black ones and some white ones. And so we're going to reproduce an order for them of 4 of each of those colors of shirts. Now, one of the things that Mark posted on the intro for this that I didn't know anything about until about 25 minutes ago. Now, actually, it was about 5 hours ago.
Yeah.
Was first thing we wanted to deal with before we kind of get into the production is dealing a little bit with artwork. And as all of you all know, most of our customers today think that good artwork constitutes a cocktail napkin and a ballpoint pen. So you get a lot of bad artwork sometimes. And when we get bad artwork in these days, it's not really cocktail napkins. It is JPEGs, things that people grabbed off of the internet or things that they designed in some software that was designed to make Christmas cards or something that they have. So I want to show you guys a couple examples of artwork that's not so good and then good artwork before we get started. So I am going to swap over right now to the screen, and so you're going to see your computer, you're going to see me go away, and we're going to see, there we go. Down here I'm going to pull up Photoshop. And these are intentionally bad artwork. Bill actually created a beautiful design that we're using for this. For those of you who have ever talked to Bill on tech support, Bill actually created the helmet that we're using in this today, which is pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to go in here. I'm just going to open up and show you guys some examples of artwork that you don't want. And I'll explain to you why, so you know what to look for in your customers. And Kildasi Marauders. Okay, we have 3 examples here. One of these is actually our print ready one, and we'll grab that one last. Okay, the first one would be our classic case of a web graphic. Now this probably looks pretty good from out here, but when we zoom in, let me find my zoom tool. We gotta. You guys may not see it, but on top of the screen there is there's our zoom tool, right, Bill? Nope, that's a crop tool.
Don, why don't you minimize that window?
Yeah, I'm going to minimize this
red arrow.
This one?
This one.
Okay. That one's not in the way. This one is.
Oh, okay.
Right there. There's a magnifying glass. And we are going to zoom out. Or zoom, actually, we want to zoom in on the image. And go under here, image size. And we're just going to show you the image size of this design. This is a 72 DPI 10 by 7.5 graphic. Classic, and it's actually a lot better than what you would expect to get from a web graphic because it's much larger in size. So we zoom in on this object, we're going to find out there's a lot of pixels. I apologize, guys. I'm not finding the zoom tool, but trust me, it is there. Zoom tool, yay. Here we go. That's my zoom out tool. We're going to zoom in. Bang, 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 bang. As we start to get in close here, you start to see the pixelization. And this actually, because Bill actually started from a vector on this image, so this is actually pretty good bad.
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
This is good bad. All right. This is going to really show you. This is the kind of stuff you're going to get. You're going to get this pixelization, and the more I blow that image up, the more it's going to start looking like it's made out of building blocks like that. Thanks, Keenan. Keenan just told me which tool to grab. All right, so the other file we have is going to be a better resolution file. However, it is actually a JPEG. All right, this file I absolutely all day long and twice on Sunday could bring into my RIP software and print my white shirt, because when I go into the white shirt printing mode, white is not a color. And so it's just going to ignore white, and this is going to print fine. However, if I were to try to print this on my cream-colored shirt, I was going to try to print this on my black-colored shirt, you would see exactly what you see on the screen. The entire background is white. So ultimately what I want is I want that white to not be there, which means I can't use a JPEG for dark shirt printing simply because of the fact that the JPEG does not preserve a transparent background. So anything that you see that is white shouldn't be printed. On this design, you can even see the drop shadow we have, but like inside of here, inside of the helmet and stuff, the outline around the CD of the Coldesi, that literally should be a white that's printed. However, this white that's out here shouldn't be printed. Okay? So those are 2 file types that you don't want. If you do get this one, you can work with it with some cleanup tools and whatnot. But ideally, you want a transparent background from the file from your customer.
So, Don, we've got a question. If you printed this file right now as is, there would just be a big white box.
Be a white box with all that. All of the white would. It would look fine. The design itself would look fine. However, there would be a big white box, and it would probably cost you about an extra $1.50 to print on the shirt.
I would say it'd probably be more.
Yeah, maybe even $1.50, $2. Okay. So now we're going to show you the file that we're actually going to print. All right. We're going to open up the last one, which is the one that I'm going to actually do the printing. This is kind of the ideal of what you want for your artwork when you're bringing it in. You know, if I zoom in here, you'll see there's a little bit of a nice shade right here, a nice fade to white. You'll notice the checkerboard pattern that you see in the background. If you're not a Photoshop person, that means it's a transparent background. There's nothing there. All right. So when I bring this file in, it's going to pick up these bright white areas here and print them as white, because in the dark queue and in the color shirt queue, it absolutely knows what white is, and it knows that this is 100% white, and this just fades away to 0 white. It picks up those translucencies.
And our printers do that fade particularly well.
We do a great job on those fades, absolutely. And it's not just the printer; it's a RIP too. The RIP does a great job of rendering these really subtle. These are called translucencies here. When you look at it, you can actually start to see through it a little bit. You'll notice that these pixels here are not as bright as these transparent pixels here. So you see there's actually a translucency there. Any questions then about customer artwork when you get it? What is your typical dimension or size that you use when you're doing a full print? It really depends on the file. This one here, we actually looked at it, and it kind of looks nice at this is about a 10.5-inch wide print or so. It depends on the type of graphic and the size of the shirt. Remember, one of the benefits of direct-to-garment printing is you're not married to screens, all right? So I have a thing that I haven't talked about this in a while. It's called my 8-10-12 principle.
Oh, yeah.
The 8-10-12
Show 'em the
principle.
rip.
Yeah, we can do that. If I was going to print this out on, women's tanks, Bubba shirts, and just regular adult shirts, I might print them 8 inches wide on a women's shirt, 10 inches wide on a standard adult shirt, and then on an extra large or a 2XL, I might go up to 11.5 or 12, just to optimize and make it look optically the same when it's on somebody's, when they're wearing the garment. Okay, so we're going to jump out of Photoshop now. All right, out of all my Photoshop. No. All right, we're all out of Photoshop, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to go ahead and get into the rip right now. I'm moving stuff all over the screen. You guys can probably see that, right? So this is my rip. All right. One thing that I'm going to go ahead and get our first job queued up, and then we'll get into kind of the nuts and bolts of doing the actual printing.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell this, I'm going to do a 2-up, and I got a camera in the way, a 2-up, and I'm going to tell it to do 2-up same. So what this is going to do, when I bring that graphic in, I don't have to think. It's going to populate both of my platens, which are represented right here.
And you know what I'm going to say?
We're printing two shirts.
You're printing 2 shirts at once. So this
That's
is
right.
this is the only printer or one of the 2 printers on the market that you will have this choice to make.
Right. And it comes with its own built-in marketing guide.
Yes.
All right. So on the black shirts, we seem to think the black graphics best is the best way to go. It really gives us a good pop to pop off of that dark shirt. And we want the maximal amount of white that's ideal for it to give us the pop to cover it up. So again, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to import my file. I can also drag and drop if I want. This is the one that we chose named Print Ready. I'm going to go ahead and bring this in. And as you see right here, it's populating both of my spots. And then I'm just going to take these and I'm going to move them upward, and I'm going to drop them right there at about 2.5
Do me a
inches.
favor, make that smaller because we're recording the screen for everybody.
Alrighty.
So just a little red one right there.
Make that down. Okay, there you go.
Okay, cool. Now
All
we
right,
can move.
there we go. All right, so I've moved these. They're in the identical place on each shirt, right? I can have them over here, and they're ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and rip them just to go ahead and get that done. And then what we'll do at this point, once this is ripped, what I would actually do, okay? And in fact, let's take it a step further. We're going to go ahead and get these things all done at one time. I'm going to go ahead into my color shirt queue and go ahead and get it set up. This would be similar to what you would do is if you had an employee that you just wanted them to have to mash a button and go. And what I want to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to import the file again. This is my color fast mode. The reason I'm going to color fast on my light colored shirt is the fast mode doesn't put down as much white ink, and I don't have to overcome as much shirt. So on the tan colored shirt, I'm just going to put about a 720, 720 underbase down, which is not as much white.
So Don, let me back you up in a minute because you've said a lot about the rip.
Mm-hmm.
The rip is basically where you prepare the graphic after you've taken it out of Photoshop to print. So you have a lot of decisions to make, like...
And not as many as, I mean, there are so many you could make.
Right.
The reality check is you're going to set up your rip with standards that we give you a plethora of different, that's a $10 word, of different
I like
cues that are already preset. You can also set up your own cues. And you notice the background on this is showing a gray, right? That's just to remind me that I'm not in the dark shirt queue, black shirt queue. This is showing me this is a non-dark black shirt. So it's what it means is it's going to treat black ink differently.
It's neither black nor white.
Yeah, it's neither black nor white. The white will have a white background. And so why don't we just go ahead and cue this up. But I have all these cues that are here. I have these, I call them super cues for color shirts with multiple optional cues, black shirts, multiple under, white, blah, 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 all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these images up here, about the same place as the other ones. And I can actually position them as well with the positioning tool.
And you can resize them.
I can
according to
resize
your
them and everything,
choice.
right? All right. And then lastly, we're going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and get that one. I want to go ahead and rip that only. So it's processed. All right. And last one I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over here to the white shirts queue. And I am going to do the same thing. I'm going to open the same file up. Oh, you know, first thing I got to do over here is I got to tell 2 up. Same. All right. And I'm going to import my file again.
And you're doing it this way because you're going to print some on black cotton, some on white, and some on a neutral color.
Yes, and we're printing 2 at a time.
Yep.
There you go. Mark's excited. Not only this is
I'm
Mark's
excited.
not only are we printing 2 at a time.
Yes.
We're printing 3 different color shirts.
Nice.
And at no point will my hands leave my hand thing. I see I have a question. We'll go ahead and get this one ripping. And I have a hand up.
Nope. Hit the question button.
Hit the question button, which is
The one with
right
the
there.
question mark.
There you go. All right, we got a lot of questions. This is new to me. What does it mean to RIP? Great question, Your Honor. And I apologize because we kind of assume a bit. RIP stands for Raster Image Processor. So let me redneck that down. Printer driver on steroids, okay? Basically, what the RIP does for us, number one, it tells the printer that whether I need a white underbase or not. It actually generates my white layer underbase. It does a great job of color managing, all right? It does cost estimation for me on how much it costs to print. It allows me to actually save jobs that I've already printed, and I'm perfectly happy with the way they are, and I can actually save all that data. But it's mainly my interface between my graphic software and the beast that's printing right back here.
Okay. Addressing one of the questions, how many of you are hearing 2 different audio streams? How many of you hear an echo?
Any echo?
Echo.
No, not I, said Keenan.
Okay, great.
All right, great. You guys are not hearing any echo. Good. I was worried. Sorry, I did that. Great. It sounds like everybody, not me. Awesome, guys. Thank you. It sounds like things are coming through. When I center the image on the square, it doesn't really print centered when I actually print. That, Judy, could be just tweaking inside of your RIP, because sometimes, obviously, we send these out. We can't perfectly tweak to, but if you center it on the RIP and it's off, Bill or one of the techs you can get with them and they can just have you just go in and readjust so that it is hitting the same on your pallets each time.
Or you
All right?
could be hooping your shirt wrong. You could be.
Well, yeah, but if you just print on the pallet, that's a good point that Mark said, because Mark is in marketing and he doesn't realize that you guys are all excellent at laying the shirt on there consistently. What you can do to check it just to make sure is actually just print it straight on the pallets, so to make sure it's not shirted. But Mark, actually, she's probably looking at the shirts as they're laying on the pallet and seeing they're not centered.
We also have a video
Okay.
on the how to edit templates and stuff to adjust those kind of things.
Good. Rona has a question. This is new to me. What does it mean to RIP? I missed
Exactly
you
what I
said.
told Rona a little while ago when I was describing the RIP.
Okay.
It's a raster image processor.
I shouldn't drink during these anymore. should
That's
I?
right. All right. Do we any other questions? Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to hop over to me. So what I've basically done now, guys, is everything is ready to rock and roll in terms of our software. It's going to get a little funky here when I'm trying to bounce back and forth between these things, but I'm going to go ahead and do it, all right? I'm not going to change that. Boom. All right, so I'm going to move this down out of the way. We're going to go live again, okay?
Yep.
Back, I'm going to turn this off, and we are back live. All right. Can everybody see me? Okay, good. Nobody said no. Basically, I'm going to have this so I can get at it. So what we've done is I've already started. If you're doing a job like this where you're going to have some pre-treating, 8 of the 12 shirts I'm going to print are going to need to be pre-treated. You want to get yourself a little bit of a jump start. Again, think ahead when you're doing production so that your flow is right. It's going to take the longest amount of time to print the black shirts, right? Because I'm putting a highest res white for the brightest white and then a high res color on top of it. So it's going to take longer to print the black shirts, and then it's going to take to print the tan shirts, and it's going to take to print the white shirts. I need the most time up front to get my pre-treating done. I've pre-treated 2 black shirts. I have them loaded on their pallets right here. One thing that we do, and we suggest to you, I don't know if you can see it real well here, may not be able to, but now you can. Right here, we've actually put, this says showroom right, okay? So we know this is our showroom machine. This is my right pallet, because one of the things you're going to do when you get your M2 is you're gonna take your pallets, you're gonna put them on the machine like this, and you're actually gonna level them up. And you want to level them up side to side because you level off of the print head, not off of a table. All right. So I've thrown in my first shirt. This one over here, as you can guess, says left. And another thing we did, by the way, is we've actually numbered these. Here I can show you on this one a little bit better. This one says 2R. You can see right there on this side right here. It says, it's always backward, 2R, okay? We have set 1, set 2. So we leveled these up together on here, left and right. And then we leveled these up on the machine, left and right. That's something you're going to do in the early stages when you first get your printer. That way you have consistent prints. You always know which one is on, and there's no questions about things being out of whack. Because even though these things are, machined pretty well, millimeters really make differences when you're printing with a digital printer. So what we've done is made sure that they're lined up like that. You do that same thing with, any extra platens you get. If you're only buying a single dual sleeve, you're going to put it on the right side and just label it 1R. All right? You never know when your business is going to take off and you need more platens. You're going to add a 2R and then, a 2L, a 1L, 2 whatever. You get the idea.
Yeah, lots
All
of numbers and letters.
Lots of numbers. Okay,
Is
so
we got a question. Is the M2 on a belt system?
belt system, no, it is not. You load and retrieve from the front. And really, that's about the best way to do it. We did have a machine called the Viper that was a belt system you could feed from the back, but the load button was still on the front. So you still had to hit it from the front. So what I've done is I've loaded my shirts up. I'm going to slide them under here just a little bit to catch our laser. And the reason what you just heard there is it actually set itself to the right height. The reason that we load these shirts up, we do the leveling of these platens ahead of time for the machine is so that these platens are the same. So when that laser trips, I know it's tripping both of them. All right? I'm going to hit my load button. We're about to get real. All right? And I'm going to move this out of the way. And while it's loading that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to launch this first puppy, which you guys can't see me launching. But trust me, it is a puppy I'm launching. All right? The machine is ready to rock and roll. And we're going to release it, and then we're going to get real on doing a little bit of printing. All right, I'm hitting print right now. I know you guys can't see it. You can see me. All right. And get this out. There we go. All right, we're back live. First two shirts are printing. I've already loaded a shirt over here in my pre-treatment machine. I'm pre-treating that shirt.
That is the Spider Mini pre-treat machine.
Spider Mini pre-treat. And you're gonna want to have a work table that you can work on. All right. I'm going to throw this into my press. Get it pressing. One thing I have done is if you see this sheet, I've torn the corner off. I know this is my pre-treatment sheet. I don't want to use my pre-treatment sheet when I'm pressing a regular shirt. All right. Then I'm going to take my next shirt, load it into the pre-treatment machine again. All right.
You can actually see the steam coming off the heat press.
You can see the steam coming off my forehead right now, freaking out about having to do this. All right, so right now I've got one in the pre-treatment machine, one in the heat press over here. All right. One thing I didn't think to do, but I'm going to adjust for on the fly. Let's go ahead and throw this one on here. And I'm going to have Bill, while we're doing it, get me another one, because I have two machines that I'm pre-treating with, presses I'm pre-treating with. You want to grab me an extra plain one?
I think I got them in here.
All right. So this shirt's about ready to be done. Bang. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these on here. All right. And while we're on a roll with it, we're just going to go ahead and get the next one pre-treated.
Now we can't bring the camera any closer, but all Don's doing is kind of putting the shirt into the Spider Mini, tucking around the edges, and he's going to roll that drawer in and then hit the big green button.
Right, exactly.
It's preset for light garments at the moment.
Well, actually, I turned my dial down a little bit. I don't need as much pre-treatment here, the dial. I don't need as much pre-treatment for a dark light shirt as I do a dark shirt.
Right.
So I'm going to roll that in.
And the Spider Mini's actually got two, the ability to handle two different pre-treats. So you can have a light garment, a dark garment pre-treat if you want to, or non-textile, whatever you like.
All right. These shirts are both ready. All right. And ready to rock and roll.
So what you're doing is actually pre-treating and then curing before you print. Is that right?
I'm pre-treating and pressing the pre-treat so that it's dry. All right, take these shirts, go ahead and get them in here.
Oh, you're backwards.
I am backwards. Bill pointed that out.
That's
Boom.
true. If you knew Don, you'd know he was backwards.
I'm completely backward. Lined up. I like to take my collar just over top. You guys can't see that, but I
Keenan's
did.
got sharp eyes. What's the blue cover on the heat press?
I could tell you, Keenan, but I'd have to kill you.
Yeah, we're experimenting.
We're experimenting
and
with a
testing.
new press cover that helps to absorb some moisture, and it just happened to be on the machine, so we went ahead and went with it. All right?
So you can see he's putting the shirts on the platen.
All right. Get my shirts lined up. All right, so now, did I do that one backwards, Bill? No, I did right. All right, I have both of my these shirts are ready. I've got my first cream colored shirt ready. All right.
And you can have a stack of pre-treated shirts all ready to go.
Yep.
Because you can store them, if you store them properly, you can store them for quite a long time after they've been pre-treated.
Exactly right. He may be in marketing, but he's right occasionally. All right.
Twice a day. Now there's another advantage to the Spider Mini is if you'll notice it's right next to the printer and it's in our showroom. So there's no more spray booth really here in use at Coldesi. We just put it in the Spider Mini and hit the button.
Especially since we've taken our
Yeah, we turned in our spray booth area into our new webinar room, which we'll be in early next year.
All right, we're down to, this is the good part, guys. I am doing a dozen shirts here, and I'm getting real close to being done with the pre-treating before my first set of shirts are done, which is good because now I'm not in a situation where I have to worry about cycling in my presses. I can do this with just 2 heat presses.
Right. So what is storing properly? What do you have to do after you pre-treat a shirt to store them properly for later use?
You don't want to stack them directly on themselves. You want to take some of these release sheets and stack them face to face, right? You want to, also the other thing I've had people do is hang them. You know, you just
That's
don't want them,
interesting.
you don't want them to rehydrate when they're next, on top of each other. What I'm doing right now here is not a big problem, but if they sat for an extended period of time and there was a fair amount of moisture in there, you would end up with a situation where you would be, just talking and working thing, it's really difficult, where you would be pulling pinholes, right? You'd be pulling pinholes in the actual pre-treat itself, which would ultimately cause your pre-treatment to fail.
So we've got 2 more questions. When you rip all those jobs and then hit print, does it print in the order you ripped them?
I did not hit print. I pre-ripped them, so they're waiting for me to hit the release button in that. All right? Does that make sense?
Yep. And are you printing in line? We get that
No.
question every once in a while. You never see us printing in line, really.
There's about 5% of the designs that are out there that would work in line. It's not going to work. When you see this design when it comes out, you understand why. This design 110% rocks, and if I were to try to do it in line, there's no way I can get that much white ink down and get colors down on top of that and get it to pop. Because what's going to happen is the white doesn't have time to dry. It's going to mix with it. And these beautiful reds, maroonish reds we're getting, you're going to end up with strawberry milk. That's exactly what it's going to look like.
We do always err on the side of image quality.
We do always err.
Yeah. Oh, well, one of us does.
Yeah. The air is marketing. I thought that's the way it went, right? All right, so I've got 4 shirts.
Okay, let's take
Here we
a look
go.
at this. Wow, you're fuzzy.
Whew, I'm gonna get a water break real quick.
Having a little trouble focusing, but then again, so am I.
All right, so I'm finishing up my first 2 here. All right, I know it's going to take me about 3 minutes to cure. So the first thing I'm going to do, and it took a little more than 3 minutes for these to print. All right, the beauty of having a dual printer like this is I can leave this printer alone a little bit longer, but it's being more productive. So I'm just going to get these out of the way initially and get my printer working again. Because if it ain't making noise, it ain't making money.
I'll give you that
Right?
one 'cause you're working
Bang.
hard.
Okay. So this one right here is my left. I'm going to go ahead and slide this one to my left position on my machine. Bang. All right. And this one right here is my right. Same thing. Make sure it's in the position. They're right here on the front. There are 2 pins right there. You make sure they're in. Again, I slide it in, press up, hit load.
Done. You're not in on one on left.
That's right. I want to make sure that Bill knew that.
Okay. After I
Bang.
rip, then print the shirts. I can't seem to print the job again unless I rip again.
Okay,
You
so
have to re-rip.
what we're going to have to do is where do I go back to my screen at, buddy?
Nope, not there.
Where's my screen? My regular computer screen.
Hit escape.
Escape.
Okay, this is going to require marketing.
Yes, we need to go back to show you. In fact, I'll hop back to the rip, all right? Because right now I'm losing time because of Mark. While we're doing this, pull up my rip for me.
Yep.
All right. And are you back on computer screen mode?
I am.
Okay. So, if you look, and it may just be something you have set in your queue. I think Bill can answer the question. There's a setting in your queue to keep your jobs down below, right? And you want to just make sure you're saving those jobs below. And all you're going to do, and I'll show you here in a second as soon as I get done with my... There we go. Phew. All right, so I have finished. I'm in the black shirt queue. I want to reprint these. I just bring it back up here, right click, and tell it to print. Bang. You hear my printer getting ready. My printer starting to print again. There is a setting in the rip that will tell you to save those jobs down there, not to get rid of them. All right. Our next step is we're going to be over here. I'm going to hop over so I know I'm on the right queue when I come back for my tan colored shirts, and we're going to swap back to our screen mode, to our camera mode. All right. While we were talking, I've got my heat presses back here. I am curing my dark shirts. I did press this one at the wrong setting. That's fine. Not a big deal. I've got my presses set to rotate between 45 seconds and 3 minutes. So you could set it up. You can actually set if you were doing a large order, you would set your presses up to do whatever the standard cure time was for the whole job. We have ours set up because a lot of times we're training in here. All right. So once again, I've done that one right. Collar that way. This one I'm going to check again, make sure collar's out. And load this one up. No, I don't want to slow down, Mark. We're showing them production, not a production, right?
I mean, I like to think our customers work that hard.
If it ain't making noise,
They ain't making money.
they ain't making money.
True. That's true.
All right. So now I've got my next shirts ready. Okay. At this point, I'm all prepared. I've got all of my shirts pre-treated. All right. So now all I'm doing is literally feeding the beast. Okay. Any more questions? Someone says they can't see us. If you're working on like an iPad or something, a tablet or something, you may have to just restart, right?
Yeah, and don't forget, click away and click back. Wait a few minutes, Eric. We've had a few other problems like that tonight. There's nothing we can do.
All right, we're getting our shirts are coming along right now. I'm just going to stack them on top of those as we go. 28 seconds left on it. I'm making money right now, guys.
Right.
So, question.
This is also why you want multiple platens.
Multiple platens, multiple heat presses, right? So once you get ahead of this curve, you'll see that a person... I have a customer up in Toronto. My dealer in outside of Toronto has a customer in Toronto. They have 10 machines. They just ordered 2 more to get through their holiday season. Sent me a picture of them. They run 10 DTGs with 3 operators.
Wow.
Yes. It is a bit of a fire drill. Choose whatever nationality you prefer. But it is a fire drill. First shirt's done. Going to stack it up right
Man,
there.
That looks good. I think
Yep.
I think we'll do a little quick show. I mean, look at how good that looks.
Second one done. All right. Bang. All right. And we're waiting on the printer right now. So you see we're ahead of the game a little bit on this. Da-da-da.
Okay, so Paul from the Custom Tee Company has a...
There you go. Yeah,
If you click the window button under the view on the right-hand drop-down, it will switch easily. There you go.
Angela's asked about what RGB code. Bill can tell you. That's actually a reddish maroon. He can give you a good
Color
idea.
number.
The RGB that you used to get that.
Oh, for the football helmet?
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the design. It's actually a gradient. So it's
Yeah.
going from a darker red to a lighter red.
Yeah, the one that is actually like an Alabama red is the Coldesi Marauder
Alabama
wording,
red.
which is awesome red.
No-
You know, we rock on reds now. We used to cry about red. Red used to be a beautiful color of orange in
It's
our
the
world.
ink, yeah.
It's the ink and it's also the profiling.
Okay, so why do you run multiple heat presses instead of a dryer?
Because you have to. These inks are not designed to be belt dried. They need pressure, number one. Number two, the dwell time you would require in a belt dryer is much greater than most belt dryers have. And belt dryers have this spike of temperature. And you need a consistent temperature or you scorch and you end up damaging the binders. All right, you can, on a light colored shirt, run them through a belt dryer. The dwell time, the numbers that have been played with are in the 7 to 10 minute range in a belt dryer. So that's generally the reason.
Yeah.
Secondarily, if you have a belt dryer and you're wanting to run this with it, it's telling me you want to put it in an environment that's probably not as clean as a digital printer should be in. You're probably out in your screen printing shop where you're using spray adhesives and other things that are floating around you don't need to get into your printer.
That's a good point. Angela, maybe if you drop us a note, maybe Don will send you the Alabama red RGB code.
Yeah, drop an email to Bill. But I mean, that's what we get all the time. You know, it may just be, I don't know whether what you're designing, and that could be part of it as well.
Is there a way to avoid the box effect from the pre-treat?
Well, and I'm going to let a little bit of the cat out of the bag, as Keenan pointed out. That's part of what that's about. We're working on that. We're experimenting with some additional papers as well that will help do it. You can water down cut your pre-treatment 50%, then you got to double up on the amount of it. And there's a lot of things. You can let it dry a little bit more before you press it. You can hover it to dry it, but there's not a whole lot you can do. It's kind of the nature of the beast. Direct-to-garment printing, you do get some up. It obviously washes out. I know
Yeah.
some customers. One of our biggest customers is a company called First Amendment Tees up in Erie, Pennsylvania. He actually takes his and he steams shirts for people who he thinks is sensitive to the square. He steams the shirts to get the square out.
Okay, so you have several different cues. I only have a few. Did you set them and rename them for particular jobs?
What version are you running, Judy? You're probably running version 5. Are you running version 6?
Version of the RIP software.
What version of your rips? C5 or C6?
She recently bought the Viper 2.
That's right. It's probably, we have generated some cues, but the earlier version of the RIP did not have as many default cues as ours has.
Okay, so actually, Rob wants to know, he just got the Viper 2, but he's having difficulties printing the white colors on dark clothes. Could you show me how to configure that in the RIP? I think
Not
that's
during, this
more
is not a,
about-
yeah, that's something you need to go through training and talk with the techs on. If it's not the printer's printing the white right, you're probably not pre-treating the shirts right is the most common thing we find. If you question how white should look, and if the printer's printing right, take a shirt and turn it into a piece of plywood. I mean, bury it in pre-treat, press it. It's gonna shine like the surface of the
It
sun.
will, yeah.
And then print on it. If you're not getting good white at that point, you have a good nozzle check, then give one of the guys a call, because there's no reason that with the standard settings in the RIP, you shouldn't be putting down enough white that on a black shirt that is covered in pre-treat, it doesn't pop.
Everything you print with the
Right.
Viper 2 should really look great. I mean,
Game
it
on
should look
again.
amazing.
So we got these 2 shirts done. All right, it's going to start getting a little bit faster as we get closer to the end, because these shirts aren't going to take as long to print. Okay, this one right here is a showroom right. All right, I'm going to slide it back right into place. And this would hopefully showroom left.
You want to switch back to the RIP?
Yep, if you would switch back into the RIP. Both of those are in place. Bring it up. I would do that real quick check with my laser, simply to make sure, because these pallets, maybe A and B are aligned, 1 and 2 are aligned to each other, left and right are aligned to each other, but set 1 and set 2 may not be height-wise, okay?
Angela said there's no such thing as too much pre-treat, especially on colored shirts.
It's hard to see 'em.
On behalf of Coleman and Company, who sells the pre-treat league, I would like to thank you personally.
All right, we're loaded up. We're ready to go. The printer says, print ready. I'm going to go ahead and print this job. Then I'm going to go ahead and get my other shirts onto my press.
And you could actually pre-rip these and just have them sitting on the desktop. Is that right, Don?
Pre-rip them. You
Yes.
can pre-rip them and have them sitting there, ready to, which is what I just did. Those were pre-ripped, and all I did was hit the print button to release them.
Awesome.
All right. So I got these.
We'll
onto
switch
the
back over to
printer.
camera. There he is.
All right.
Hardest working man in show business.
And wrong one. That's why you tear the corners, right? In fact, I'm done pre-treating. We're gonna go away. You go, Bill.
And you do not want to confuse these two sheets of release paper.
Right.
One is specifically for pre-treat.
Right, and the reason we do that is that you don't want to be pressing a shirt with pre-treat on it. It has ink on it. You have pre-treat on the sheet. The pre-treat sticks to the ink, so when you press it down on it, it'll bond with the ink and can pull it away. Oh, forgot to press those two. No, I didn't. It's on the edge. Okay, there's a little bit of moisture. You see, you guys got me confused there. I was concerned that I had not pressed it, but it's just the edges of the shirt, the moisture of the overspray. And that one's ready to go. Again, I want my collar facing out of the machine. Go ahead and get this ready. I like to, we all have different ways. I like to get 3 points and then tighten it up, right? So I pull it down here, that snugs it up, bang, I'm good to go. Next set of shirts is ready. After this, we go to white shirt, so it's rock and roll time on that. Other questions? You can't see my head at all, Mark.
Okay, that's not a bad thing.
There you go. Other questions at this point while we're pressing, we're printing. We're done with our first white layer. We're looking over here about halfway through the cures. Things are just about in good flow mode right now.
Any pro tips on how to deal with seams on board?
Seams? Oh, you mean like the seams of the sleeves and things like that, Keenan? Yes. Okay. Best thing to do is buy some material that you can lay over your board and get consistent thickness material. I don't even know what ideally it'd be like mouse pad material if you get a large piece of Nomax and cut it into sections so that you can lay it so that it's going to press down into it when you go across it. That's probably the
Embroidery
easiest
puffy
way.
foam works good.
Which what?
Embroidery puffy foam works good.
Embroidery, yeah, it's a good point. The puffy foam like you use for embroidery if you do 3D puff embroidery on your hats is a good material to use. And really you're usually just trying to lift up a certain area, so sometimes you just cut it out. Like if I were trying to print this right here, and I have a placket like I have on here, what I would do is I cut a rectangle and set it underneath there down on my shirt board. You take and hit it with a little bit of spray tack, print it down. If you want to get anal about your positioning on your board, actually put your shirt boards in the machine, print a black outline on both of them in exactly the same spot as your target spot. That's where you mark down. And if you want to get crazy with it, you could have your platens all marked up with black markers marking your mark areas for different positionings, and then put those pieces down on top of it. And those are your target
You keep
areas.
saying Mark. For some reason, I like that. We've got some good questions here. One of them is,
Another
how
one
much
done?
of the software do you go over in training?
None of it. You got to learn it yourself. No. The guys spend, what do you think? Probably half of the time is with...
John said I think it is a good 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
on rip.
Right.
It's
and-
back and forth, rip and then print. Rip
Right.
and then print.
And remember, that it's not a one-time training. You can take training from us just about as many times as you like.
Right. We mock you after the third one.
Why do you use a pre-treat for a white shirt?
The benefit to a pre-treat for the white shirts when we use the P30i inks, which are in this machine, is that it's actually will make the designs pop a little bit more. It also gives us an expanded range into the polyester range for light colored shirts as well.
What is the biggest area the printer can print, and do shirt boards come in bigger sizes?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a 16 and the machine is 24 by 16 and a half basically. There is a 16 and a half by 20 and there's a 16 and a half by 24 single board that are optional that you can purchase for the machine.
So big
Big
prints.
Yes, in fact you have to stage them when you press them on a press like this because this is a 16 by 20 press. All right. So when you stage it on that, you're going to press half, move the shirt over, press half. If you're doing nothing but those size shirts, you want to buy yourself a 20 by 25 press and be prepared to be shell-shocked when you hear the price of them because they're more than double the price of these presses. And if you want an auto release, they have to be air release, which adds about another $1,000 on top of that.
But you will be the only guy doing like 4XL prints.
Exactly right. Does the Spider do that 16 by 20? No, it's a 15 by 18, I think, is the area of it. Again, when you're doing those specialty applications, it starts to become a more custom type of configuration. You would hand apply on that.
And it has to be worth it. I mean,
has to be
there's
worth
a
it,
lot
right?
of capabilities. You have to be in the market and be able to charge the price to.
Right. Understand that there's nobody else on the market that can do a 16.5 by 24 print, period.
Or 2 shirts at the same time.
Mark's a little caught up
Or
on
even
that.
4 shirts at the same time. We
That's
didn't
right.
even talk about
we didn't
that.
talk with
You
smaller
can do
platens. We do 4
shirts
shirts at the same time. Exactly right. Other questions on the machines, the process of what I'm going through? Having to deal with Mark on a regular basis with these things?
It's a joy.
We'll write a book someday. Literally, as you can see, a single operator on a design job like this can knock out 15 or so shirts an hour.
Yeah.
With this type of design size, roughly, with them being all darks. You see, as soon as I hit the whites, it's going to double up that productivity. Certainly, I could, if I wasn't talking to you guys, could be managing a couple more presses in another printer. I don't know how these guys do. 3 of them do 10 printers, but that's what they do for a living. They don't understand how I talk for hours and hours and hours and hours a day.
That's
All right,
right.
we're about to finish up with our next pass. Bang. I saw the little jerk back, which means it's done. No, I was looking at you, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So what are we going to do? Get them off the machine. Let's get the machine printing again. Take my look real quick here.
Paul said this has been great. Thanks. You're welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Welcome to the ice melting channel at this point, right?
Right. So,
All right, both of them loaded up. Got a little bill.
so with these designs, how long did the black tee take, and how long did the white tee? We haven't done a white tee.
We haven't done a
yet.
white tee yet. This is not a white tee. This is a cream colored tee. We call it a natural shirt that has white on it. And I didn't time them. You know, you're welcome to time this one if you want. All right, let's go back. How do I get back to my screen again? My
Okay,
rip.
you're gonna make this one small.
Okay.
There you go. And now,
We're going to go back. I want to show you in the rip. Remember we did the last, somebody was asking about the actual, I can see the rip. Somebody was asking about how do I print the same job that I just done. All right, that's the one right here, which is the one I just completed. I drag it up here. All right, you can see it here again. Right mouse click and I hit print, or I could also hit the print sign up there. We're printing again. So, back to camera time.
want to delete those, please?
How do I delete? That mark right
There's
there?
a little garbage can right there.
Oh, it's a garbage can, okay. All right. Hard to see what it is. Bang, bang. We got that question? Yes.
Yeah, we
wait.
did.
Mouse is not moving. There we go. All right, so I'm printing. The last thing I want to do is go ahead and get these next ones back here onto the heat press. Get my pallets set up again. I've actually had customers who really, really get going on this, that they'll have an extra set of platens. Just because you never know. And, you know, if you really get in the weeds, you have another employee come, and that other employee can kind of help you out. Get you an extra set of platens ahead and load it up, right?
So if you have a bad image from a customer, do you have to fix it in your Photoshop software, or does the RIP software fix the image?
No, the RIP software doesn't have intuition. It does not have intuition. So if you've got bad artwork, you've got bad artwork. You can try, you know, working with it in Photoshop. Photoshop does do a decent job of upsampling, but if somebody grabbed a thumbnail off of a website,
Yeah,
it's still
happens
only
all
made
the
it's
time.
only made out of 16 pixels.
It's going to be ugly no matter what.
It's going to be ugly no matter what. But if it's a good, decent piece of artwork, we tell you to print at 300 DPI, get 300 DPI images. Be honest with you, we get about 175, 200 if it's good artwork, especially like Bill's, which came from a vector, which was then converted to a JPEG. But if it's something that, is shoddy in the first place, you're asking it the software to know what it originally looked like, which it can't.
We've got a couple more good questions.
Yep.
In this process, did the artwork have to be converted to vector art? Meaning, what was the prepared file?
No, actually, I brought in a Photoshop file.
Right, PSD.
Yeah, the files I was shown at the very beginning, we showed you a JPEG, we showed you a low-res Photoshop file, and we showed you the Photoshop file we printed. But no, it just so happened that the actual helmet that we're using on this design, that was a vector file that Bill created. And he brought it in, and then we converted it to a Photoshop file, which no longer made it a vector. It was now a raster file. But no, vectors are not required.
Eileen, thanks for reminding us. Where does the RIP software show the cost and the amount of ink utilized?
When we come back to print the white shirt, I'll show you.
Cool.
Okay? It shows it all the way to the right. You have to put in your ink costs into the RIP for each queue, so you know what you're paying. A lot of my customers will actually add about a 10 or 15% to that, just to make up for shipping costs and to make up for ink consumed by the machine for our head cleanings and things like that as well.
It's a good idea.
Back to the paint drying channel. Other questions? This is a question I get all the time too. What do I consider the ideal setup? If you're doing a fair amount of production, kind of what I got going on here is not a bad idea. Never hurts to have one extra heat press. And now if you're doing a lot of dark shirts, what you may want to consider doing is finding, this kind of flies in the face of our marketing and sales and stuff, but if you've got an old heat press sitting around, use it to do your pre-treat curing, okay? Don't use it to treat the shirts, because this is an important part. This determines how well they wash. When you're doing the pre-press with the pre-treatment on it, all you're really doing with that is drying that pre-treat into the garment, okay? So don't get carried away with feeling like you have to have 3 brand new presses. If you got an old one, just retire it to the pre-treatment marketplace. Now what I'm going to do, because I got 2 more of these to do. Okay. What we'll do is while we're printing the next batch of these, is we're actually going to, after they come off the heat press,
Just remind you that they look awesome. They look terrific.
look marvelous. How did you line up the left chest with so many different size shirts?
How do you?
Eyeball. I mean, if you're, this is one of the things that comes into becoming an apparel decorator, and I'm not an apparel decorator, and they probably aren't perfectly lined up, okay? But you learn to look for the center of the collar. I put the collar just over the edge, and then I come down here and I kind of look at the sides, make sure my tags are the same, right? And that's why I punch here, and I've now locked in a triangle, and I just tighten the rest of it up. If you really want to get carried away with it, you can get a laser system and actually make a mount on your table that's similar to the brackets that are on the printer, and you can throw these into it and use those as alignment spots as well. But it just comes from experience. I mean, embroiderers are crazy about it. They can align stuff and get it exactly right. It's crazy.
Comes with practice.
Comes with practice. Exactly right. And this is actually kind of nice. Usually at the trade shows, Bill and I are hooping things up here. This is actually a little bit more comfortable sites.
What is the maintenance routine for the printer heads? How long can the machine set not printing, etc.?
Etc.
She wants to know the bad stuff.
The maintenance routine is a few minutes at the end. After, we had done a lot of production today, we're going to release the head, clean around the edges of the head. We're going to clean into the capping station area of the machine. We're actually going to put some flush into the capping station, and when we're doing head cleanings, to flush out the capping station. And we're going to clean the wiper blade, which is what wipes the bottom of the printer.
I like that. That's the sign language for flush.
It is a syringe.
It's a syringe.
This is not a gang symbol.
You know what,
This
Kim?
is a syringe.
Kim, if you want to, you can actually go to the sports site or YouTube.
Don't make me go, gang.
And
Don't go syringe on
and
you.
watch the training on doing the daily
Right.
maintenance. You don't have to guess.
It's like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Understand this. In the mornings, you're going to come into your machine. When you walk in, you're going to do a couple head cleanings. Get it done with the head cleanings. And then you're going to... next thing you're going to do is do a nozzle check. The nozzle check just is the canary in a cage to let you know how your print head's firing. And if everything's hunky-dory at that point, you're good to go, right? You want to swap over what I'm doing in this market, swap me back to my screen. We're going to go in and do the white shirt, and I think I told somebody I was going to show them where the pricing was for the the ink as well.
Yes, you did.
By the way, if you want to get really good production, don't film it and talk to people while you're doing it.
Will you be creating more videos on how to use Rip Pro 6? Angela wants to know. Bill?
I mean, there's the whole training curriculum is online.
Well, the training curriculum is online, but we do have a bunch of videos that were done by the software manufacturer that I don't think we're really telling a lot of people about, but they are on the site under the DTG RipPro C6 part. There's some good ones about the media setup that they go over. The guy who does it's English. It's a little straightforward the way he talks, but the information that he's given is very good information and very detailed.
It is, Angela. We always have to be careful with Bill's time because we'd rather he be helping folks like you on the phone if you have a problem.
And Mark is in the process of setting up more. We're not kidding. We build a sound studio. We're building a sound studio. We had to kick him out early tonight, and Mark's in my way. Thank you. We are actually going to be able to do more webinars on a more consistent basis, and you're going to see more training-oriented video webinars as well, where you can sign on and we'll do a 45-minute webinar on how to do it. So I've spooled this job. Somebody had asked me about the pricing, and over here it's telling me these shirts are 15.13 cents a piece to print. When you tell it to load up multiples of the same design, the price it gives you is what it rips. The rip has actually only processed one of these designs and just emulated that information over to the right side. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to print again on this. Okay, and you want to pop me back over, Mark?
Sure.
I've got my 2 shirts in the heat press. I have got 2 shirts printing right now. All right.
Oh, this is a good question. Holly wants to know, what is your opinion upon using pre-treated shirts from a supplier?
You know, I'll reserve judgment on that. My opinion is that by the time you've bought 1,000 shirts, 1,500 shirts, you could have bought a Spider Mini.
Right. And that takes a few seconds.
And you know,
every
you
shirt.
control it yourself.
Yeah.
And so let's say, for instance, your shirts don't print right. Who do you blame? You blame my printer? Do you blame my ink? Do you blame the company that you bought the shirts from? And are you also willing to just live in a handful of types of shirts and a handful of colors of shirts?
And we actually had this conversation in a meeting today talking about, you know, the age of pre-treat and how you have to be careful where you buy it, let alone if a shirt's already been pre-treated with it.
Right. I mean, if you guys have seen these shirts, because I sampled them, trust me, you know, when you're as big as we are in the marketplace, everything gets run by our, especially me, I've been a product manager here for 11 years. Everything that you guys see out on the market, they ran it by us at some point. And so there's a lot of concerns about how long they stay, and they're actually vacuum sealed.
Yeah.
Right? And you're paying for that.
Yeah. So a couple of questions. Can we get the cost breakdown for ink cost for cartridges since it calls for liters?
Divide the cost of your cartridges by 150, and that's what your milliliter cost is, and multiply it by 1,000.
Have you had scorching on the white shirts?
If you're running them too hot, it depends on the brands of shirts. It really does. If you find you get scorching, a lot of times what I will do is stage cure my shirts. And what I mean by that is I will cure them. I'll cure it if it's calling for a minute. I'll cure it in 30 seconds. Pull the sheet off like that and do it for another 30 seconds. If it calls for 2 minutes, depending on what ink set you're using, you know, I might pop it and do a minute and a minute. But generally, it shouldn't. You may want to lighten up the pressure a little bit. We don't have, where's it at? We actually use a piece of backing too from embroidery that actually sometimes will help absorb some of that moisture on light colored shirts as well.
So I don't know if this is Anna or Paul from the Custom Tee Company, but the Spider Mini made a big difference in consistency for us.
Yes, it really does. And you know, the people who have a Spider Mini don't understand why people would not have a Spider Mini. The people who don't have a Spider Mini don't understand why you guys would spend the money on a Spider Mini.
Right.
And it really just comes down to, if you're doing consistent standard T-shirts, Spider Mini is awesome. if you're doing a lot of custom stuff, sleeves, pant legs, and stuff like that, you still got to use a hand sprayer.
But you get that with the printer anyway.
Right. So it really depends on what your approach is. More and more, I can tell you right now, if we go back 12 months, about 1 out of every 10 printers got a pre-treatment machine. You go back 6 months, it was probably 2 out of 10. Right now, it's
Wow.
4 or 5 out of 10
Yeah.
are going with them. With the price of the Spider Mini being down where it is, it's just hard not to. Most of the pre-treatment machines on the market are still over $4,000 a piece, and these are under $4,000. And you get the kit. We do a cleaning kit with them now that's worth about another $80 or so. It's self-contained. You don't need a compressor. Earlier ones need a compressor.
You don't need to do it in the garage or the warehouse.
Right, exactly. I mean, if you're working out of your home or you're in a storefront, you know that you just can't spray. It's absolutely the way to go. So, hey, last run through here. These are the last 2 shirts. All right. Got these in there. Boom.
2 more good questions. What brand of shirts do you like best?
These are Gildans. Bill or one of the techs can share with you the actual model number of them.
And Anvil. We use Anvil quite a bit.
Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, I said Gildan. I'm sorry, I said
said
Anvil.
Gildan.
I'm sorry. Anvil. These are Anvil ring spuns. I'm gonna bring this design back up, and as soon as it tells me it's loaded and ready, we're gonna send the design over.
Print.
All right.
What other mediums can a DTG printer print on?
What do you want to print on? The answer? You can print on, textiles,
Canvas.
canvas. We've got customers who print on wood, untreated wood. We've printed on mouse pads. We've printed on koozies. What am I missing, Bill?
I'm going to show you a canvas as soon as I get the screen back up here.
By the way, I'm done from the standpoint of production. I'm waiting on the heat presses and the printer to do the last, and I'm done.
No, he's not. He hasn't folded the shirts yet.
I haven't folded
Wait.
the shirts yet. That's a canvas from somebody poked a hole in our canvas.
No, it's a mouse.
Oh, the mount did that?
No, there's
You
no
see the hole in the
folding.
canvas? There's a hole in the canvas right there. Yep.
Wow.
That's why we don't let marketing
Okay,
guys.
there
There you
we
go.
go.
With a finger in it. That's actually Bill actually did a cool job. That's actually just an image off of the internet.
Go back.
And Bill did there you go. It's a straight canvas. That's from Michaels, guys.
Yeah. Nothing special.
There's our white shirt. White shirt number 2. And 2 more printing. We're about 2.5 minutes from home. More questions. Hoodie, yes. Jill, we do sell a actual platen, and you can see here in the background. Right over here. This is a zippered hoodie platen. That white strip down there is for where the zipper goes in. Leather, not really practical. There are processes to do it, but you have to strip away all the oils from the leather, and it requires a complex pre-treat and post-treat operation. There are some companies that do it over in Europe, but they're doing leather goods that they're selling for thousands of dollars. all
Yeah,
right?
it's something you have to be devoted to when you could just be printing T-shirts profitably.
And we'll print on sport jerseys. What kind of material? Probably not if you're asking about wicking material and polyester material. No direct-to-garment printer prints on dark colored polys at this point.
Yeah.
You can print on light colored polys with pre-treatment. I think somebody was just going back to the question somebody asked about what other items can you print on. I have a customer who actually, they're doing a lot of shirts and stuff, but they repurpose old stuff. They're out in Colorado, and they actually take items. I bought a cross from them for up at some property we have that's made out of some old 2x4s, got an old horseshoe on it, it's got some barbed wire and everything wrapped around it, and they put some inspirational words on it onto a piece of tackle twill type of material, and then that's attached to the back of it, and it's really antique looking. It's pretty cool. They
Nice.
actually took the text and made an antique font, and they used that for labeling as well.
Did you show these?
Yes, I showed
Okay.
those.
You sure? Because I don't think you got this close.
Yeah.
Because I think that looks awesome.
We are down to our last few seconds over here. Do you pre-treat? Yes, Angela, you do pre-treat the canvas. We use the white ink pre-treat. Just spray it right on them, nice and consistent. Let it dry, print it, let it dry, and post-treat it. The other platens behind me, the blue ones, those are chest platens. I generally don't sell a lot of those unless you're doing a lot of 6x6 items. Generally, I tell people to get the dual sleeve, and if you're trying to do a chest, you just actually orient them to the out front on them. But that's a dual sleeve. That is they call it a dual chest. It's 6x6.5.
Peter said he couldn't be here for the first part of the webinar. We did try to record it. I really hope we
yeah, we're trying to
got
record it right
and
now.
We'll send it to you.
Right? Other questions? Silence from the crowd. Oh, wait.
They're just
Peter said
amazed.
thanks. Hey, no, guys, seriously, I know this has been a little bit weird, the way we've gone about this. It's gone a little longer than usual. But the reality check is you got a guy who's a salesman who has just sat here and while talking to you and dealing with distractions and really irritating marketing guys, has been able to knock out an order of 12 shirts that you're going to make, even if you make $5 a piece on them net.
You're going to make more.
You're going to probably make more.
Yeah.
I just made $60 in this hour while talking to you on this order.
Yeah, hey Judy, the webinars are on YouTube. If you just Google Cold SC webinars.
Somebody is
you'll
asking if
find
I
them.
was going to print a name
It would be more.
on the back of the shirt. What stage would you do it? Yeah, what I would do is I would run through and just do just what I did, turn these over, and roll with it. Bang. That's what I would do. Do all the fronts first, do all the back. General rule is, okay, you're more likely to screw up early in the process. All right? So print the smallest items first. If you're doing shirt
good.
fronts,
That's great advice.
right? Print
Somebody
the
write
shirt
that
front,
down.
the small chest prints. Do those first. That way, when you're screwing up while you're just getting your head in the game, right? Then you're not so likely to screw up. It would really be a bummer to print $1.50 worth of ink on the front of the back of the shirt, and then you go to print on the front of the shirt, and you make a mistake, right? And you wasted all that ink. So that's kind of the one catch there is that you want to do it that way. But you just print them and go.
Okay, so 2 questions. So you should pre-treat both sides first.
No. Nope.
Nope.
No.
No, you want to pre-treat. Treat it as 2 different jobs. Do all of these fronts now, turn them over, pre-treat, and then do all your backs just like a second job.
Jerome wants to know, where is your pre-treatment sheet? It's about time you
yes.
thought of something else.
We don't
So-
answer questions for dealers during these things. I gave it to Bill, the sheet that we use. It's those are our release sheets. They buy them through Coleman and Company. Should you pre-treat both sides? Okay, we answered that for you. Is more white ink better or less to make the CMY? Angela, it has to do with the shirt. It's sufficient coverage. You can get too much white down, all right? The idea is to get this right amount of white down. We put down less white ink on the natural colored shirts here than we did on the black because we didn't have as much to overcome. I mean, I guess the way I would say, if you have a wall in your house that's dark blue, navy blue, I would say black, but that'd be really kind of creepy to have in a house. Get a navy blue wall in your house and you want to change it to, light yellow. And you have a medium gray wall in your house and you want to turn it to light yellow. How much primer are you going to put on those 2 walls, right? You're going to put more primer on the navy blue wall than you are on the light gray wall to overcome it before you put the yellow down. Same thing with this. It's actually more exaggerated with this because our inks are actually translucent. Cool. We survived.
Don, I gotta say
Woo!
that was excellent work. That was
All right.
great.
I've
That was
lost
great.
sleep over this. As
And
you
a couple
see,
of
I am
pounds, yeah.
I am just winnowing away to barely anything. Thank you guys for taking the time tonight. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact your account manager. You can contact me at Cold Essie. Get in touch with Mark through the Facebook. He'll push you on to the right people. And, see, you guys, it's real. A sales guy can do it. Anybody can do it. Thanks for watching the webinar tonight. And I hope that you all got a lot out of it. Take care.